Michael Shikha Niketan Higher Secondary Government-sponsored co-ed English medium school has taken an excellent initiative of teaching and make our students learn day-to-day lessons through audio and video in our YouTube channel. Teachers of all the subjects are working hard to enhance these online classes in the midst of this pandemic situation. It is a request to all the teachers, students and guardians to click the bell icon and subscribe our channel. Today we are going to we're making this video on the chapter Thank You Ma'am for class 12. Okay, before I start this chapter, I expect the students of class 12 to open your chapter Thank You Ma'am, which is written by Langston Hughes. Okay. When I'll be explaining this chapter, I'll be explaining and giving you a line by line explanation, but the entire chapter will not be covered in one video for your proper understanding of the chapter. Now, before starting this chapter, I would love to say 2 points. The first is love move mountains. Why did I say this love move mountains? And the second point is care changes the bad habits. Now, love move mountains and a care changes the bad habits means this is the basic concept. As we will go through this chapter or as we'll evolve through this chapter, we will understand, because we'll come across 2 types of character who are poles apart, but at the same time, with the evolvement of this character, we will understand how a person's thinking, how a person's perception, ideas of negativities changes into positivity. Now, we people have negative ideas or we choose negative paths because our situation, for maximum people, our situation makes us to do so. Because nobody born on this world would love to be, you ask any child, nobody will say, ma'am, I want to be a thief. Ma'am, I want to be a robber. I want to be a dacoit. Nobody will say this because everybody is born and as they grow up, have a positive approach and a thinking towards life. But there is a word, man thinks and God disposes, and so this happens with many of us. The situation for 90% of the people permits those people to take up some negative approaches and paths. But trust me, love really moves mountains. Because if we love somebody and if we give the true care, not by a person who does some negativities, and if we go on criticizing them, giving all the critical approaches to them, I think that becomes more septic in their life and even for us. So that love and care sometimes, because every human has a humanity inside. So when that love and care reaches the humanity, everybody changes into positivity. So I hope all of you have opened the book, and so we'll go to the line by line explanation. Thank You Ma'am by Langston Hughes. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but hammer and nails. It had a long strap and she carried it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night and she was walking alone when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with the single tug. The boy gave it from behind, but the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose balance. So instead of taking a full blast as he had hoped, the boy fell on his back on the sidewalk and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned and kicked him right square in his blue jean sitter. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his short front and shook him until his teeth rattled. So the woman who is being first introduced by the narrator, she is carrying a purse. As we read read this first paragraph, we understood the purse that she was carrying was not of any cloth material. It was some metallic material, right? So she was carrying, and it was slung down. It was like a sling bags we carry. So she was slung down the shoulder, and as she was walking through a road, a small little boy just came behind him. It was 11 o'clock. So it was quite late at night. A small boy, a little boy, or maybe a young boy, whatever you say, came behind her and tried to snatch the bag. But inside the bag, everything was being carried except nails and hammers. The bag was quite heavy, and so as he snatched the bag, the strap of the bag tore away, and he just fell off his back on the shoulder with the arm. And then the woman turned back, and just as her reflect was, she just gave a kick to the boy, and she was also very stout, as we understand, because one kick made the boy shoot to the footpath. And then she went towards the footpath, hold the boy with the collar, and went on shaking him till his teeth rattled. Then, after that, the woman said, "Pick up my notebook, boy, and give it here." She still held him, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. Then she said, "Now aren't you ashamed of yourself?" Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, "Yes, ma'am." The woman said, "What did you wanted to do it for?" The boy said, "I did not aim to." She said, "You a lie." By that time, 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. "If I turn you loose, you will run?" asked the woman. "Yes, ma'am," said the boy. "Then I won't turn you loose," said the woman. She did not release him. "I'm sorry, lady, I am," whispered the boy. Now, when the women went towards the boy, there was a big notebooks and all scattered down. She told him to pick up those notebooks, and she stooped down to pick up her purse, but she was holding the collar of the boy. Then a sweet, innocent conversation took place between them. The boy was very confused, and then the woman, very stout and strong, asked him, "Why did you do so? What was your purpose of stealing things?" The boy said, "I did not aim to." Means he meant to say, I did it randomly, because maybe he was in need of something, so he did it randomly. He was not in the aim of attacking her or her purse. Then he said, "You are lying." Then he said that, he begged pardon to ma'am. Then the ma'am asked, the women asked, "If I set you loose, will you run?" Look at the innocence of the boy. He innocently, confused, scared, shocked at the situation, says, "Yes, ma'am, I will." That honesty comes out because at that moment he wants to escape from the situation. At that time, many passers-by passed away, turned, stopped, was looking into the matter. Generally, what we would have done if he would have been a thief, would have shouted, taken the police, beaten her, make public gathering, make a mob attack on the boy. Generally, would have done it. But the woman, very patient, stout, and strong, just was conversing with him, was not, whoever was looking or what the people or passers-by gossiping did not matter her. So she just straight away asked the boy, "If I set you loose, will you run?" And the boy so innocently answered, "Yes, I will." So then the woman says, "Then I'm not going to set you loose." And she was just holding the collar of the boy very tight. Then the boy, very much scared about the situation, went on begging pardon from the women. "And your face is dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face." "And your face is dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face for you. And you got nobody to tell you to wash your face?" "No, ma'am," said the boy. So, no, comma, M, so you will pronounce it as no, ma'am, correct? "Then it will get washed this evening," said the large woman, starting up the street, dragging the frightened boy behind her. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail, in willow wild, in tennis shoes and blue jeans. Please underline, that was the appearance and the age of the boy. It can come in a 2 marks question. So the woman, who is very, hard like a shell of a coconut, but very soft and kind from inside. She was tall, she was stout, and she just firmly asked her, I think you need to wash your face, and I am going to do that. Aren't you got nobody at your home? The women, that maybe she was talking very firmly, strictly, but there was tender and care in her words. She said, aren't you got nobody at your home to wash your face? So the boy says, no ma'am, I haven't. So the boy is just with a shaky voice, she's going on answering. Just imagine the tall woman and the little, maybe 14 or 15 years of age, that particular boy was wearing white shirt. He was 15 years, frail, very thin, frail, and looks very weak, wearing jeans and a tennis shoe. A very young man, that was a very stout, strong woman, just dragging him along with her, taking to her own house. The women said, you ought to be my son. I would teach you right from wrong. Least I can do right now is to wash your face. Are you hungry? So this woman somewhere says, if you would have been my son, the teachers sometimes get angry and says, if you would have been my daughter, if you would have been my son, I'll smack you and throw you out of the window. Why does this teacher says this? Because somewhere the teacher feels the connection of that being motherhood, being connected with you all. So that connection of motherhood that stout, strong lady was feeling to see that young, little, frail boy. And so he says that if I would have been your mother, I would have just give you a nice lesson. But till now, the only thing that I can do is to wash your face. Then out of again her tenderness, her care is being shown, and she asked, are you hungry? No ma'am, said the being dragged boy. I just want you to turn me loose. Oh, was I bothering you when I turned that corner? Asked the ma'am. Asked the women. No ma'am, but you put yourself in contact with me, said the woman. If you think that the contact is not going to last a while, you got another thought coming. When I get through with you, sir, you're going to remember Mrs. Luella Betts Washington Jones. Sweat popped out on the boy's face and he began to struggle. Mrs. Jones stopped, jogged him around in front of her, put a half Nelson about his neck and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to her door, she dragged the boy inside down a hall and into a large kitchenette furnished room at the rear of the house. She switched on the light and left the door open. The boy could hear other roomers laughing and talking in the large house. Some of their doors were open too, so he knew he and the women were not alone. The women still had him by the neck in the middle of a room. So what happened? The woman's name was Mrs. Luella Betts Washington Jones. So what happened that, she put a half Nelson. If you look at the down part of your book, it's written, a wrestling hold in which a wrestler places an arm under the opponent's arm from behind and exerts pressure with the palm on the back of the opponent's neck. That means half Nelson means we understand by the characteristics, by the figure features or by the approach that she may or may not be a wrestler. So like a half Nelson, she put her hard hand around the neck of the boy and just dragged him and was dragging him very hard and just asking him, are you hungry? You need to wash your face. But the one thing, no answer was coming from the boy. The only thing that the boy wanted was to be set free from the women, because he knows that he has done a criminal act and he can be brutally punished by her. So that's thinking was going inside her. So whenever she was asking, what do you want to eat? Are you hungry? One thing she wants is, I want to be set loose from you, ma'am. Then the women said, you came in connection with me. I haven't gone with you. You came to pull my bag. Now you have to come. So then she takes her to her house and keeps her in the dining room. And while he sits in the dining room, she goes to the kitchen to prepare some foods and all. But while sitting in the dining room, the boy could hear some laughing, talking inside another room. So he realized or he understood that he is not alone in the house along with the women. She said, "What's your name?" "Roger," answered the boy. "Then Roger, you go to that sink, wash your face," said the woman, whereupon she turned him loose. At last, Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. "Let the water run until it gets warm." She said, "Here's a clean towel." "You gonna take me to jail?" asked the boy, bending over the sink. "Not with that face. I would not take you anywhere," said the woman. "Here I am trying to get home to cook me a bite to eat, and you snatch my pocketbook. Maybe you aren't been to your supper either. Let as it be. Have you?" "There is nobody home at my house, ma'am," said the boy. So when the woman asked the boy to go to the sink and wash the face, the boy is highly scared. The boy is continuously looking at the room from where this laughing and talking sounds are coming. He's continuously keeping a watch on the woman. He's keeping a watch on the door also, so that if he gets a chance, he will just escape from there. But he was not getting the chance. That scare, that fear was working inside him. He was thinking maybe he will be put to jail, and he just could not resist himself and finally asked the question, "Ma'am, are you going to put me to jail?" Or the man, very strict but yet until caring, says, "Not like this, with such a face that you have. With this face I will not take you anywhere. Why did you just snatch my pocketbook? I am giving you dinner to eat and so much taking care of you. I think you have not had your dinner and therefore you are up to all this." This is what woman is saying. I'm just analyzing her words. This is what woman is saying. And then after this, the boy said, "I don't have anybody at home to give me supper." So we keep till here. The next part of the explanation will be upcoming in the next video. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment. Subscribe. And do share the video among your friends.